Hi, I'm Allison Anderson, and in today's lab, I'm going to go over some tools that we can use for on-site optimization, those being Screaming Frog, Xenu, and Google Webmaster Tools. Let's start off with Screaming Frog. Alright, so let's start with the tool Screaming Frog. The Screaming Frog SEO Spider allows you to quickly analyze, audit, and review a site from an on-site SEO perspective. It's good for analyzing medium to large sites, where manually checking every page would be extremely labor-intensive, and you could easily miss a redirect, a meta refresh, or a duplicate page issue. The tool should be used to evaluate existing content. You can use this for any clients really that you're working with, and you can use it to assist with evaluating declining traffic or any sort of duplicate kind of meta descriptions or title tag issues that you're dealing with. So right here is actually where you are going to find the location for this tool. You can go to this website and download Screaming Frog. There's a paid version and a free version. The free version offers some really good information as well. You don't necessarily have to buy the paid version. So let's take a look at what the tool actually looks like. Once you download Screaming Frog and you open it, this is what you will see. Up here where you enter the URL is where it will crawl the site. So I am going to grab a website and put it into Screaming Frog. And it is going to start analyzing the website. It's going to pull up every URL, which will be displayed here under the address. It will also show you the content, the status code, the status, the Title 1. Let me scroll over here. Title 1 length, which Title 1 is the title tag of that page, and Title 1 length is the length, that's how many characters that title tag actually has. It will also give you the meta description that it has associated with that page, and the meta description length as well. There's also meta keywords, which we've talked about before aren't necessarily going to help with on-site optimization, but we do still use them. You can still put it in the backend code, and this is basically just listing what they're at and the length of that. And it will also pull in the H1 header on that page that it's displaying, and also the length on there, and also the H2 and the H2 length. Also, if there's any canonical link elements, it will display that. It gives you word count. It also gives you the level, which the level basically is telling you the main domain is usually level 0, and then any page off of that that's built will start with level 1, and then you can go into level 2, level 3, depending on how deep those URLs are getting, and it will display that in the level here. It also gives you the in links, which it's still, as you can see, counting up into that page, and it will give you the out links. So those on that like main page, so say for example this one, it's telling you there's one outlink on that page, and then it also gives you this hash, and I think that is the end of the report. So if we work back in the beginning, when you're analyzing a website, let me pull this down so everyone can see it. You can start working through these different tabs. So this internal tab, which we just covered, is going to give you a really good idea of what is actually on that particular page as far as the metadata, with, again, looking at the title tags and the H1 headers. And you can analyze to see if there's any duplicates. You can export this information into an Excel file, so you can easily see the duplicate meta descriptions if you ever want to change any of those, and any duplicate title tags. And as soon as you start sorting those, you'll just see those all fall in line together. So if you did want to change any, you could, and it basically will just display that for you. Also, looking at length, the title tag length, we always say try to stick around 70 characters. So this gives you a good idea for how many characters are in each of your title tags. Again, trying to stay with best practices right now, at least around 70 characters. So when you start getting up in the 200s or even like 150, you may want to look at that and see how you can shorten the length a little bit on those title tags. The meta descriptions, try to stay within 150 characters is what we kind of say as best practice. You'll see a lot of these go into the 500s. Those are pretty long. You probably want to look at shortening those, especially for what people can see in the SERP results, is usually within that 150-ish characters. So after that, really most people aren't even seeing that meta description that you have posted. So again, you're building these for the user. Okay, so when you're looking at the tabs above, we just went over the internal tab. If you want to break out just specifically looking at the page titles, so for example, you just want to take a look at the title tags, you can click on these tabs above. So the page titles will basically just give you the address that it has, or that URL on that website, then the title, which is again the title tag, the length, and then the pixel width, which these are the two main columns that you'll be paying attention to when evaluating the title tags. Then you also have the meta descriptions, which again will just display the meta description that's associated with every URL that is crawled for this site. Again, mainly paying attention to the meta description 1, meta description length 1 to evaluate whether you want to change any of the meta descriptions. Meta keywords, which we've covered before, it will list what the keywords that you're focusing on every page. The H1 on every page, again, you can break this out in these. So you're basically going to pay attention to this column and this column, looking at what is actually classified as an H1 on that page. Again, it's that which is identified in the source code, and then also the H1 length of what that looks like on that page. Okay, so going back to our kind of what the Screaming Frog tool actually does, there's just some important details that I just want you to remember, which are listed here. This is what you will use Screaming Frog for when evaluating your sites, looking at the errors, client and server errors, the no response codes, the 404s, 501s, things like that, redirects, 301s, permanent or temporary, the external links, duplicate pages, again looking at to see if there's any duplicate meta descriptions, title tags, which is also the page titles, the meta descriptions, meta keywords, looking at H1s, H2s. If there is any missing, you'll want to make sure that you have H1s for your pages because those are high value areas. Also the robots, the file size, the in links, out links, the anchor text, the followed and no follow attributes as well. So that is pretty much what you will use Screaming Frog for to evaluate the on-site SEO of your sites. It's a very good tool and saves you a lot of time because it will basically just crawl all the URLs you have on your site and give you all of that information that we just covered. So let's move on next to Google Webmaster Tools. This is a dashboard that you will see when you log into Google Webmaster Tools. If you have other sites under your user login, you can see those here. I'm just in one site's dashboard right now, so this is that site's dashboard that you will see where you have these 3 different kind of widgets that appear on this home page. New and important, this will always tell you if there's any new messages or recent critical issues that are going on with the site. This is very important. If there was any errors or any important messages that Google sends you, this is where they're going to live. So always make sure that you check this to see if you were seeing a decline in your site's traffic or some issues were rising that you were noticing. Go in and check to make sure that Google didn't actually send you a message and they're identifying something that's going on with the site. So then there's these 3 key kind of areas right here that we can cover, which are crawl errors, search queries, and sitemaps, which I'll go into when we get to those on this left side. We'll go over these different topics as well. But basically, when you go into the search appearance, there's some really good different areas that we can go into. There's structured data, which this will kind of tell you what your schema markup looks like, your micro formats, the different pages, the items, and the items with errors, which right now we don't have any errors, which is great. It also gives you HTML improvements. So this will tell you, again, we just went over Screaming Frog, to look at duplicate meta descriptions, if there's short meta descriptions, if they're around that 150, maybe you only have a couple characters in there. You may want to take a look at that, but this will help you identify where those areas of improvement are actually in Google Webmaster Tools, which is great. So it'll give you a list right here. This is an example. We have some duplicate meta descriptions. So when I click on that, I will see that there's two listed. There's two different variations of the meta description that is this duplicate. So on this one, if you click here, you will see with that meta description, it's on all these different pages. So it's on 38 different pages of the website that has the exact same meta description. You should have a unique meta description for every page. So this is an area that could easily be improved for the website. This one as well, same meta description that you see for 273 pages. So again, area for improvement. You'll also see short meta descriptions, which will tell you there's 9 pages. Title tags, missing title tags. So there's one page that does not have a title tag. Duplicate title tags as well. You can click into here and it will show you this title tag is actually used on these 2 different pages. So again, when you have duplicate title tags, you do want a unique title tag for every page of the website if possible. So again, areas for improvement. So it's nice that they have this HTML improvement list that you can click on and kind of identify where you may want to change things. Search traffic is another really good area that you can dive into with OnSite. Search queries. So right now, Google is no longer giving us, Google Analytics and a lot of our reporting tools aren't giving us the different keywords that people are using to land on our websites. Those are actually protected, especially if someone's using the HTTPS, Google typing in a query. We're not getting that information to us. But here under search traffic with search queries, you're able to see the different queries that people are typing in that you're getting impressions for your website and also where you're getting clicks. And then it'll break down your click-through rate and then the average position that you're coming up for these different searches. So when people are typing in these types of things, I'm seeing, for example, with, BPS lawyers, I'm seeing I'm getting about 23 impressions for that search. 14 of those turned into clicks, which is a great click-through rate of 61%. And the average position that I'm showing up on that SERP page is position number 1. So in this average position, this is a really good way to see that all these different searches that people are doing, and again, you can see up here that there's almost 2,000 of them of search queries that I can go through to see what position I'm coming up in. This is that I'm in the 8th position. That and again, these are averages. This is in almost the 8th position here, 6th position, 2nd position, 3rd position. You get the point. So up here, it just gives you kind of a graph with the clicks and then impressions. Just gives you this overview, and it will always default to the last 30 days. So this is running it through June 23rd to July 23rd. You can change these date ranges, which will then change the graph to reflect the date ranges that you've chosen. Another tab up here is top pages. So you can look at the top queries, and then you can also look at the top pages to see what's performing on your site. If we scroll down here, you'll see this is the home page. This is getting the most impressions by far out of the rest of the pages on the site. And I'll tell you how many clicks, what the click-through rate is, and the average position. So you'll see as we kind of scroll down with the different pages that you have on the sites, these different URLs, what types of impressions those pages specifically are getting, the clicks that they're getting, the click-through rate, and the average position. Links to your site is also an important area to take a look at, which you will go through in your offsite SEO as well, but just wanted to touch on this to just say these are links to your site. This is really good to look at when you're going through an analysis of offsite SEO. So that's where that lives. Internal links is more going for obviously the on-site SEO. So internal links, these are your targeted pages right now that are being found by Google. So basically you have your targeted pages that this is showing you. Your most targeted page that you have all these links going to internally, according to this, is articles. This is your home page, which the majority of the time you're gonna want most of your links on throughout the page going to your home page. It's usually the most important, and usually things will link back up if you have your silos created correctly. So this is actually something that I maybe want to take a look at. There's 3,000 links going to the articles page within the site. So take a look at that. Your most important pages should probably have more links to them than the other ones, because you're telling Google that that's important by linking to that page. Google Index. This is also very important. Your index status. This is basically Google taking a look at your sitemap. And it's telling you total index. So 606. There's a basic and advanced. So total indexable pages, 606. Blocked by robots, 100. Which you will see that in XML files. Content keywords. This is actually, Google will crawl the site and it's telling you the content keywords that it's finding throughout your site. It breaks it down into, like for example, this one, it's telling me that it's finding the keyword law and 3 different variants of that on the site very commonly, and the significance of that is all the way 100%. Accidents, it's determining that as 82%. So basically it kind of picks apart the content that you're using on the site and gives you the significance of that keyword. It will default to giving you the 20, but you can show more keywords and then download the table and take a look at that as well. Crawl. This is another important area. Crawl errors is displayed here, which will tell you the different errors that it's finding on a website will display right here. So it's basically crawling it every day, telling you where it's finding 404s or any other response codes on the site. And it also gives you a date that it was detected. This is where you'd want to set up redirects. If you're finding, for example, let me pull up one of these URLs. If you're finding that this has a response code of a 404, it tells you the error details. Last crawled on 7/16. It was first detected on 8/31/13. And it tells you a little description about it. The Google bot couldn't crawl this URL because it points to a non-existent page. So what you'll want to do is basically set up a redirect for this page to go to an actual page on the website. And you can just set up a 301 redirect, and once you do that, you can say mark as fixed, and Google will re-crawl that and take it off your crawl error report. So ultimately, you want to have this graph here be going down to 0 because you don't want any crawl errors on your site. It will pull it up for URL errors on desktop. It'll pull it up for smartphone and feature phone. So when you go and look at these, we'll tell you what they're pulling it up for. You can go and write the redirect, mark as fixed. And if you do a bunch of redirects at the same time and set them up and fix all the different crawl errors, you can just check all these boxes, the ones that you fixed, and mark as fixed, so you don't have to click into each individual one. Another important piece here is sitemaps. This is a place where you can submit your XML sitemap, which I have done down here. You can submit your XML sitemap for Google to crawl, and it will tell you that it was processed the last day that they crawled the website, that XML sitemap. And it will tell you how many pages have been submitted and how many are indexed by Google. So you want the number of submitted and indexed to match, which they do here, which is a good sign. Security issues, this is where you will see if there are any security issues with your site. Currently, there haven't been any detected, so there isn't displayed any here, but resources for hacked sites, there's some good links here that you can read up on if you were ever to run into a security issue. There's other resources as well in Webmaster Tools, which is all these links right here that you can read into as well. It's basically going into the page speed insights, which I had covered before. Here's a link to it. You can test your website to see how fast it is and if there's any improvements that you can make. Also, structured data markup helper, which we'd kind of gone over with the schema and things like that, and also the structured data testing tool, so you can test your website and see the different markup and how it's displayed in the search results. So that is pretty much Google Webmaster Tools for on-site. You'll see this tool also being used for other portions of labs as well, but for on-site, those are some of the key areas that you should be paying close attention to. All right, lastly, we will be covering Xenu, which is basically a tool that you can use that will crawl the internal and external links that you have within a site, and external links are basically coming into the site. It will tell you whether they're broken, you need to fix them, and how many different pages that they're on. Here's the location where you can find this tool and you can download it. Let's dive into the tool and what it actually looks like and what you can use it for. So when you open Zenu, this will be blank here, and you can go up to File, you can say Check URL. So this will start you off in the process of checking that URL for those different links. You say Check URL, and then right here it gives you the option to place that website that you want to crawl in here. If you want to check for external links as well, you can keep this checkbox checked. As soon as you enter that URL that you're going to check, so for example, let's go and just grab a website, which I've just grabbed this coach one. You put it in here, and you would say OK. As soon as you say OK, it's going to start crawling the website, and really large sites do take a while to crawl every single link on the site. But this will basically give you a breakdown on the status of it. Is it okay? Are they finding any links that are not found? What type of link is it? What's the size? What's the title? The date, the level. Again, we talked about the different levels that they have in the Screaming Frog. Some of this information will be duplicate of what you see in Screaming Frog, but this is a really good view of all the different links on the website that may be broken. So when you see the status not found, you will want to go and actually fix that link. Again, here, not found, broken link. As you'll see as you scroll to the right, you will see that this is pulling in the description, which is the meta description, the outlinks, the in links to that page, the level right here, which we've talked about. So the home page is always going to be that 0 level, and anything off of that will be either level 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on how deep the URL goes within, or that file path, I should say, goes within that website. And then the title again is that title tag for each of these pages, but specifically focusing on these different links in what's broken, and you know that you'll want to fix them. So after this is done running your site, it will give you the option to run a report. If you click yes to run a report, you will see this broken link report. And I'll break it down in the table of contents. You'll see the broken links ordered by link, broken links ordered by page, list of redirected URLs, list of valid URLs you can submit to a search engine, sitemap of HTML, pages with a title, broken page local links, orphan files, and statistics for managers. So as you can see with thecoach.com, this is a very large website. We had a few different broken links on the site. So as we scroll down, you are going to see a lot of different links. But basically the broken links ordered by page, you can click on these, it will bring you straight to that. So this is telling you empty URL, error code 404 not found, linked from pages, and then it will give you a list of those pages. Broken links ordered by page, this is also good. It will basically tell you that this page, and it gives you the error code, the timeout error code. And you can see all these different pages with those. It also gives you a list of redirected URLs. So it tells you that this URL right here is redirected to this URL. So basically, if this URL wasn't redirected, it would be an error page. But because we have a rule written in place online or on the HTML file that it will be redirected to this new URL. So these will kind of give you the rules that are written in that HTML file that these are working. This is actually a good status code 301. Basically, that the object permanently moved to this new URL and you're redirecting it to that. So it gives you a list of those as well. So these 3 different areas are the most important that you should be paying attention to with this on-site analysis of the different broken links that you have on your site. Thanks for watching today's lab. I hope you now have a better understanding of on-site optimization tools and how to use them to better assess your site.